All right.
D, or we're starting from A?
Starting from A, we're going alphabetical order.
Not file folder order.
No. But hello, everyone. Welcome to the fun ranking stream for Foundations. This is where I go through every commander from Foundations and from Jumpstart 2025, which are the two sets. I would do them individually, but there's not enough commanders between each of them to really have their each their own video. So we're gonna go through all 39, and today I have my good friend Eli with us. How are you, Eli?
What up? What up? No, it's good. I'm excited to go through these. I haven't actually seen too much. I looked at them this morning.
Good. Yeah, I like when we get a fresh look. I've looked at some of them from spoilers, but I haven't read too many. So we're gonna kind of give our thoughts on how fun they are, from wanna build to not fun. Just because we think a commander is not fun doesn't mean you can't think it's fun. And we're not saying it's bad. This isn't like a strict power level scaling. Some powerful commanders can be boring, but still powerful, and some can be really not powerful, but really fun. So
you're saying that you're saying that they can have their opinions. I disagree. My opinion is correct. So
okay, listen.
Just know that.
To each their own, all right? But if you want to chat and give us any card suggestions, I have the chat pulled up on screen here. If you hear any background noise, my wife has some friends over, so just keep that in mind. But I think we're going to get started here with Alesha, who laughs at fate. So it's a 3-mana 2/2 human warrior with first strike. Whenever Alesha attacks, you put a +1/+1 counter on it, and then it has raid. At the beginning of your end step, if you attack this turn, return target creature card with mana value less than or equal to Alesha's power from your graveyard to the battlefield. So, alright, so it's a Rakdos combat commander. It gets bigger when it attacks, and then there's a cool raid trigger where you get to just it's like a Sun Titan almost, where it's it attacks and you can return a permanent. It's on the end step. And you don't have to attack with Alesha either, as long as you've attacked. So even if you attack a 1/1, yeah. Obviously you want to attack with it so it gets bigger, but you can also just put equipment on it to make it bigger. And it's a target creature. So we're in Rakdos. So I mean, there are a lot of ways to sacrifice creatures or fill your yard. So I think, what are your thoughts? First, you think fun, very fun.
I'd say fun for sure. I play a lot of human centered decks actually. So this seems like something that I would put into my stuff. I don't play a lot of Rakdos. So that would be kind of new for me, but this seems like a good way to sort of dip my toe into it. It has a lot of synergies with stuff that I already do. So I'd go fun. It's a little simple to put it towards very fun for me, but I think fun, solidly fun.
That's fair. Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's solidly fun. It's good baby's first Rakdos commander, or you're like, oh, I have all these cool Rakdos cards I want to play. I don't know what to do with it. I think they'd make a great commander if you just want to play a Rakdos pile deck. I think it's a great choice.
Exactly. Well, and it's I know my pod plays pretty low power just because it's more of a social thing that we do. So this seems like it would fit in pretty nicely. It's not going to get too complicated. It's not going to get combo heavy. It's buff something and Swain and make more humans, which great.
Or anything, right? It's any target creature, so you can return
oh sure,
Solemn Simulacrum, or a big creature like an Archon of Cruelty, which is 8 mana, or any large creature, specifically even artifact creatures are really good. And because they don't sacrifice themselves, you actually can sacrifice them, get some value from them, like Phyrexian Triniform or Triplicate Titan, which are artifact creatures that when they die they make 3 tokens, so you can keep repeating that over and over again. So
sure.
All right, next card up is Anep, Vizier of Hazaret. 3 mana 4/2 Jackal Warrior. So this is from the Jumpstart set. It's uncommon. Whenever you may exert Anep as it attacks. When you do, exile the top 2 cards of your library. Until the end of your next turn, you may play those cards. So Eli started Magic not that long ago, so I'm not sure if you've seen exert before.
I have a couple of exert items. There's one in my Lord of the Rings deck that I built.
Combat Celebrant.
Yeah, Combat Celebrant's in my deck, so I do see exert. in
Great.
that.
So exert is when it says it on the bottom there, but as you exert, an exerted creature doesn't untap during your next untap step. So
Sure.
3 mana 4/2 with trample. You may exert it when it attacks. If you do, you get to impulse draw 2 cards essentially. Honestly, I think this is kind of fun, maybe even like not fun. I like impulse draw, so I think I'm gonna put it at kind of fun because there are synergies in red with exiling or playing cards from exile. What are your thoughts? Do you like this card? Are you
I
interested
I
in?
I hesitate to put it in fun only because I don't love like delayed untaps, like having to wait for this, and especially running this as your commander, you need to really make sure you're getting enough value so that you can only use it every other turn. Or you
Yeah,
need to figure out like untap abilities in your deck, which I think you can do, but that it seems like extra work for the value that you're getting.
sure. I think one
So,
workaround would be giving this vigilance because it's exerting isn't tapping it. It just does an
sure.
untap.
Yeah,
So if it has vigilance, you can attack and exert it every turn.
sure.
It just if it gets tapped down, it won't untap. So I mean that's like a cute workaround if you wanted to do that. But
Well,
I think
there's like artifacts and stuff as well that you can equip onto it that say like I know not to go back to Lord of the Rings just immediately, but if you give this stain, like then it'll untap during every combat step. And like not just yours, like every opponent's as well.
yes, that's
So like
definitely
you can work around it, but then it's like, okay, I need to find the equipment or I need to find the enchantment aura that gives it vigilance, or like there's a lot of work you have to do to really like overpump this.
yeah. It definitely in Pauper EDH where you can have an uncommon creature as your commander. I'm a little bit more into this, but I definitely think as
Sure.
a standalone commander, I think in kind of fun. I'm not putting it in not fun because I think there are some
Yeah.
fun things you
No, I
can
don't
do
think
with
so.
it. Um,
Mhm.
especially with like all the red cards that care about casting stuff from exile. But I think in the 99 of a deck, I'm more interested in this,
Yeah,
which is fine.
I would agree.
Um,
Now I have to ask, like as a newer player, so when it says you may play those cards, do we have to pay the mana cost, or is that a way of like cheating around it?
nope, you still have to pay the mana cost. So the word you can play or cast, play means you can play lands. So if it says you may cast those cards. If you hit lands, you can't do anything. But if it says play those cards, you can either play lands or play the spells, which is casting them.
Okay, sure. But you still have to pay for it.
Yes, yeah, they're not free. It'll say pay. It'll say you may cast them without paying their mana cost, or play them without paying its mana cost. If it was,
Sure.
so it is essentially card draw in red, right? Because
Yeah.
you have to play them the next turn. Um,
Mhm.
so it's definitely like risk reward. Um,
Yeah.
there are ways to set the top of your deck, but I feel like if you're doing that, just play a different commander. I feel like this isn't
Mhm.
one that is, um, like again, like just not that fun.
Well, and it's like it's a
Oops.
way to get around the chaff of it. Like if you like draw two crap cards that you don't want to play anyway, well at least you've like removed like those two cards,
Yep.
you know. But like still then you're going, okay, like it's a mono red deck if you're making this the commander.
Yeah.
You need to have like enough ramp in there to be like, okay, I can like draw these two and then play both of them immediately. You're like kind of running a risk reward thing there.
Yeah, for sure. So the next commander is Ophelia, a Viper Whisperer. 2 mana, 1/3 Gorgon Assassin. It has Death Touch. Whenever Ophelia attacks, you may pay one and Golgari Hybrid, so a red or a black. If you do, you make a 1/1 Black Snake creature token with Death Touch. And you may pay 4 and a black until end of turn whenever one or more Gorgons and or snakes you control deal combat damage to a player. That player loses half of their life rounded up. Oh, so it's cool. um,
Yeah.
it's a Golgari commander, which is great from a green black. Um, what are your give me your thoughts on this before I?
I'm gonna put this in fun for sure, and this is mainly me. Like I'm gonna air out some dirty laundry about the people that I play with who are definitely not watching. But we play long games, and it's very irritating. So like if I put this in one of my decks, it would be like, okay, we're gonna make sure that this is a 50-minute game, or I'm just gonna get removal for the entire time.
Well,
Like I'm there.
and what's great is that ability is at instant speed. So
Sure.
you can
That's great.
attack and hold up 5 mana, and if they choose not to block like a 1/1 death touch, that suddenly that 1/1 death touch is dealing 20 damage to them,
Yeah,
essentially.
exactly.
And there are other combos too, where it's like whenever an opponent loses life, you gain that much life with not exquisite blood, sanguine bond,
Yeah.
I think, or one of them. I
Yeah,
don't
that
remember which one it is, but like so you can almost one shot someone with it, which is really funny.
yeah, this would be great. I think this guy is like going to get targeted a lot, which
Yeah,
is
she
why it's so cheap. But like even after 2 or 3 times of it being removed, now you're paying like 6 mana, 8 mana to be able to do this again.
Yep, and snakes aren't that hard to get, especially in like Golgari colors. So we have and what's also great is you don't have to play this until you're ready to pay the 5 mana, right? Like you can treat this. It's a 2 mana
Sure.
commander, but like you don't have to run this out immediately to get value. Like you obviously, if you want to attack and make snakes, that's fine. But that first ability of you may pay 1 in a black to 1 in a Golgari to make a snake isn't what I'm interested in. It's that second line of text where you have someone's life total.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Like that's the good stuff.
Um, so I think we're gonna definitely put this commander in fun. Do you think it's above or below Alesha? I th-
Uh
I think a little bit below personally, but what are your
I think for me it's a little bit below as well, only because Alesha has like some fun graveyard interaction. So I think Ophelia is a little bit simpler. Like I know I said Alesha was kind of simple already, but I like having like things that I need to keep track of and like being able to interact with different zones on my turn. So like I would prefer something that has a little bit of flavor to it as opposed to swing with a snake, deal 20 damage, which like is great. Like that is funny and it would be really fun to do. But
yeah or
this
Gorgon?
is kind of yeah, make a snake and swing with it is kind of what this does.
Yeah, it's definitely just like a snake focused deck, which is like again, I think fun. Um, but I definitely understand if people aren't into it. So next up, do you want to read Erebos?
Oh, absolutely. So this is Erebos, the first Fang. It's a legendary creature cat avatar. So other cats you control get +1/+1, and whenever Erebos or another non-token cat you control enters, create a 1/1 white cat creature token.
And it's a 3 mana 2/2, so two and a
Uh,
white. Um,
yeah, absolutely.
so all right, original Erebos. I don't know if you know this commander Eli. Was from
I don't know.
Commander 20. Oh god, I hope someone in chat reminds me. 2017. Um, it was like an Eminence commander that was like a cat deck, but it was a weird cat deck. So this is a new Erebos, and it's just a cat lord, right? Like
Yeah.
it whenever it or another cat enters, you make another cat, and then it pumps all your cats. It's in mono white. There are actually a surprising number of cats in mono white. Um,
Mhm.
I think this is like again. I think I might put this in kind of fun, but I like cats. I want to put it at the tail end of fun. But there's like
Oh,
not much
sure.
to like say about it. It's a cat deck, right? Like you just play cats.
Yeah, this to me is like a little too simplistic for it to be in like truly in the fun category. I see what you're saying, but it's like, what does this do? Like it buffs cats
It buffs
and
cats
like
and makes cats.
it makes cats. Yeah, which if you
And
like cats, great. But I'm not really a cat guy.
and you can also blink cats because it's whenever they enter. Um,
Sure.
so you can ghost way and make a bunch of cats. But again, oops, I think that alone isn't enough. I think I put it in the top end of kind of fun. Like
Mhm.
it's borderline fun, kind of fun, but it's a very straightforward commander.
This is the kind of thing that I would play if I was like, it's the end of the evening and I've gotten a little drunk and I don't want to think about it and I just want to hang out with my friends. Like I think this is a great option for something like that. But if I want to do some serious play, I'm not sure this is going to do it for me.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Um, And yeah, so we'll also, there's also a great commander if you want to get someone into Magic, because you can make this have some like cute interactions with the instant speed blink, but for the most part it's like a very
Sure.
straightforward just a very straightforward commander.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? There's a place for that, certainly. And I want to give props. I think the art is very cool.
Yes,
Like, that guy looks awesome.
it is great. So next up is Baralos of Farah's band. Man, I am butchering that. It's fine.
I
Five
think it
mana
might be Brawlios.
Brawlios. You know what? I'll take your word for it. My pronunciation's awful. I called Daleks Daleks for an entire video. So 5 mana Star Centaur Scout. This creature's power and toughness are equal to the number of lands you control. Whenever it attacks, draw a card, then you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield.
That's cool.
Definitely cool. Do you think this is like a fun commander? So all it does is get bigger and put lands into play, which
No, I this something people have learned about me, and like you helped me with one of my first decks that we built together was a Necrobloom landfall deck, and I love landfall, man. So like this is awesome. I would build this absolutely. This for me is very fun because I think you just do a landfall with a like huge buffed out centaur and just let's go nuts. Like I'm all into that.
all right. See, so for me, I probably because I've played so many land commanders, I definitely would put this almost maybe in like kind of fun. But you again, like
Oh
that's why I
sure,
wanted a newer player on here, right? Because I want to get their perspective. I think we'll split the difference, and I'll put it in the top end of fun.
sure. No, I think that's fair. And now like to be completely fair, it is mono green, so like there's plenty of landfall stuff in mono green, but it is still more limited than if you were playing like a multicolor commander. So like I absolutely see where you're coming from. But like as a newer player, making just a really crazy centaur dude and just throwing land down, put like 40 plus lands into your deck. I'm into it. That sounds cool.
Yeah, and it's nice because the attack trigger, it's an attack trigger, not a combat damage trigger, and you're a
Yeah.
land deck, so you could put like Mazavith in. I always bring up Mazavith. It's just a cool utility land because you could attack, draw a card, put a land, untap it, and if you have ways of augmenting your draw, where you draw like Alhammer's Archive, where you would draw 2 cards, like this can get out of control pretty quick. Um,
Mhm.
it is mono green, which is I think the biggest issue. However, you can, I still think it's a good landfall commander. I definitely want to see this in the 99 of decks though.
Oh,
Um,
totally. This seems like one that I'm going to buy and put into my Necrobloom deck.
so
Just
we
as like a
said,
way to boost that.
yeah, well, so we'll put that right in fun here. Um, and yeah, I think let's go to the next.
All
So
right.
next is, I love all this anime art from Jumpstart. Man, it might be a hot take. I might just be a weeb. Um,
You might just be a weave. I could take or leave it.
Brigon, Soldier of Miletus, 2 mana, 2/2 human soldier. I thought it was an angel. If you said this, oh, it's on a horse or it's on something.
Oh, I see. Because I would have told you that was an angel as
I
well.
thought it was an angel. It's a human soldier with vigilance. It has heroic. So whenever you cast a spell that targets Brigon, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and then you can tap, remove a counter from it, and draw a card. Okay, so it's mono white card draw. Um,
That's nice.
has vigilance, and it's when you cast a spell that targets it, so you can't use equipment, obviously like Shuko for 0 equip like Nadu, um, which is fine. And then you get to tap, remove a counter. It's a +1/+1 counter specifically, not any counter, which matters.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think this is gonna go into fun. I think maybe on the small, like on the lower end of fun, because it's just like mono white card draw, but it's mono white card draw from the command zone
Yeah.
for 2 mana.
Mhm. Which is like that's good. That's pretty cheap for like what it's doing.
Yeah, and you can include cards like Village, not Village Bellringer. Well, yes, but there's a Spirit um, from Neon Dynasty. It's a white creature that untaps all your creatures on each person's untap step. So you can put stuff like that in the deck where you can keep tapping it if you have enough counters to
Oh, sure.
draw a lot of cards. But I feel like drawing cards is fun. I feel like Heroic's a cool mechanic. Um, and it's not like it's not gonna get you a ton of hate. It's just like a card advantage engine. So if it dies, who really cares?
Yeah. Like this is a good way to like buff up your deck while like still keeping like under the radar while the other people are duking it out at the table.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So
So
definitely thinking like
specifically, whenever you cast a spell that targets Briggon, so is it like I guess enchantment auras could do that. Like what specifically would you put into this to sort of get the most value?
definitely auras would be like my first one. And then I mean just you can put combat tricks in the deck. Anything with rebound or retrace. I don't know if white has any retrace, I'd have to look. But repeatable like instance and sorcery cards that you can either get back from the
Sure.
graveyard or you're in white, so there's should be ways made to recur.
Or
Like
stuff with flashback.
auras, stuff with flashback, retrace, buyback, any of those. Um, blink spells you could because you can, in theory, target it with a blink spell. Its trigger goes on the stack, tap it, draw a card, and then it gets blinked, and then it comes in, but then it has summoning sickness again. But that is a thing you can
Sure.
do.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what
Okay.
else in mono white. Like there are definitely ways to do it. Like Isochron Scepter, you can put an instant underneath it, um, under Isochron Scepter, which then you can pay 2 tap, and you get to cast a copy of that spell for free. And you can do that each turn, so you can put like a cheap combat trick underneath it and just target it. Um, specifically, combat tricks that give +1/+1 counters is what you're
Sure.
like looking
Yeah.
for, because then it gets even more counters.
Yeah. Like you need a way to like get 10 or 12 +1/+1s on this and then just
Yeah.
keep tapping it.
But I mean, if you're in mono white, like there are a lot of ways to just put counters on things, so you don't even need that many spells, I think, to really trigger heroic. You could just build like mono white counters, and I think
Yeah.
that is, um, that's good enough. If you want to be cute, you could use something like Path of Exile, target it, tap this, draw a card, and then you ramp, and you exile your own commander, and then you
Sure.
put it back in the command zone.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
so there are
something
definitely
to do.
things definitely stuff like you can do with this commander. But let's go. Next up is,
All
or
right.
Eli, do you want to take care of this one?
Yeah, why not? So this is we're gonna say Cleon, Merry Champion. This is a 3 mana 2/2. It's a legendary human soldier. It has double strike and heroic. So whenever you cast a spell that targets Cleon, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card until the end of your next turn.
All right, another play from Exile's mono red commander. It's heroic this time. Red has more combat tricks, notably than not actually not it's not true, not more. Um, this is again kind of card advantage like Bregon, but you can't. It's not draw; it's impulse draw. Um,
Yeah.
but it is until the end of your next turn, so you can play this, cast a bunch of combat tricks, exile a whole or a bunch of things that target it, exile a whole bunch of cards, and then play those next turn.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know if I has double strike, which is good for like commander damage. But again, I don't know
Sure.
if I feel like I'd want to put this in a deck with the Hazard, the second commander we talked about. But as a 99, I'm not that interested. I don't think is this in this.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think it seems like it's too much work for too little value.
Yeah, for sure. So we will go ahead and put this. I think just in kind of fun. I think I'm gonna put it below Erebos, but above the first one. I think heroic's a little bit more interesting than exerting it because you can do it multiple times a turn.
Sure. I agree with that. I'd be interested in building a heroic deck where like find a commander that
Feather.
can fit in like
It's
as many of these as you can.
Yeah,
And then just
Feather,
have
Zada.
multiple, yeah, something like that.
Yeah, Feather would be cool because Feather, if you target it, you get the spell back. Zada, whenever you target it, it copies it for each other creature you control.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're definitely cool commanders you could build. Next up is Sinetti Jelly Drover. It is this looks like this can be a SpongeBob secret lair like card, makes jellyfish.
Yeah, that's that.
4 mana 2/2 human wizard. When it enters or dies, you make a 1/1 blue jellyfish creature token with flying. Creatures you control with flying get +1/+1. So if you want to make
Okay.
jellyfish, I guess.
This
Um,
seems like a flavor thing more than anything else.
yeah, like I don't. I like the flavor of it. You mono blue blink, I guess.
Man,
It's
it's
enters or
4 mana
dies.
as well.
It's 4 mana for a 2/2 that makes it's 4 mana. It is 4 mana for 4 power and toughness across 2 bodies, technically. Because it's a 2/2 and it makes a 1/1 that then gets pumped to a 2/2. So if you're looking to build like a
Okay,
flyers
sure.
deck and want like an unassuming commander, I guess. Um, but I think we're stretching here. Uh you could make
There,
this like a
there-
hidden Orvar deck,
yeah,
but
there's easier ways to do this, I feel.
yeah. Yeah, I think unfortunately into the kind of fun. I feel like it's more fun than exerting, less fun than heroic, and
Yeah,
less fun than just
I'd
like
agree.
cats. It's a cute card though. Like I like the jellyfish. I hope there's a good jellyfish token. I'd have to look. But if the
Totally.
jellyfish token's good, we're in. Let's. All
Yeah,
right.
this is flavor for sure. There's a lot of people who are into this for the art and for the, for the quotes at the bottom, but this is kind of just what it is.
Yep. No, it's I. This would be for if you wanted to build a jellyfish Elden Ring deck. This is what you would do.
Uh, that's true. Fair enough.
Um, or just an actual jellyfish commander. Um, next up is Dionys Elvish Archdruid, 4 mana, 3/3 Elf Druid. Elves you control have, whenever this creature becomes tapped during your turn, untap it and put a +1/+1 counter on it. This ability only triggers once each turn. Lord
That's
have
messed up.
mercy. Um,
That's a lot.
okay. Yeah, no, that
Because Elf
seem
Ball wasn't bad enough already.
yeah, oh my lord. It seems fun and almost very fun. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, but I love that effect. It is so good. I mean, it's 4 mana from a
Mhm.
commander, but like it's whenever they become tapped during your turn, so you can attack with them and then they still get untapped. Like
Like
it
they
doesn't
functionally
matter.
have vigilance.
Yeah. Yes, that basically. Yes. Um and then you get to put a counter on each of them, so each elf you control has that. So if you have a card like Helm of the Host and you can make multiple copies of this, you would get multiple untaps and tappings with them
Mhm.
because each individual trigger goes on the stack. Yeah, this seems like a very fun.
I'd say this is very fun the first time you play it, and then the second time you play it, everyone's gonna like. You need to be careful. You're gonna have to start playing politics with this.
Yeah, you want to play this and then start tapping your elves. I feel like this is like a payoff for having a big board, not a uh
Yeah,
so it might be better in the
you're not gonna
99,
build
but
your board with this.
no, not at all. All right.
But you know what?
Next,
Screw it. Very fun.
very
Like
fun. All
I
right.
think very fun is good.
Perfect. You want to do this, take this one?
Sure. This is Alenda, Saint of Dusk. So this is a 4 mana 4/4 vampire knight. So lifelink hexproof from instance. And as long as your life total is greater than your starting life total, Alenda gets +1/+1 and has menace. Alenda gets an additional +5/+5 as long as your life total is at least 10 greater than your starting life total.
So,
Boo. Big boo to this. No, I think it's very cool, but one of my pod mates has a life gain deck, and I know this is gonna go into it, and I know I'm gonna have to blow this up in my near future.
yeah.
Like
So
big boo.
hexproof from instance is huge because it just dodges like
That's insane.
a lot of the spot removal in the format. Notably, it's not protection, so it's a little different, but still hexproof from instance is really good. Um,
Yeah.
so it's a 4 mana life link that as long as your life total is greater, it gets +1/+1 as menace, and then if it's 10 or greater, it has +5/+5. An additional +5/+5. So it becomes a 10/10 lifelink menace hexproof from instance. I honestly
Jesus.
think this is it's a lot of stats. I feel like as a commander though, I feel like there are more fun life gain commanders, and I think Alenda of the Dusk Rose, its first card from a Rivals of Ixalan, um, I think is more fun. I'm trying to think where would you think this would go? Because I'm on between kind of fun and fun, but
I'd say kind of fun. I do agree with you that like there's better life gain stuff out there, and like as a commander, it's kind of take or leave. I think in the 99, we've been saying that a lot today, but in the 99, incredible.
Yeah,
Like as a commander, it's okay.
that Jack Heim says 4 mana 10/10 lifelink menace and hexproof sign me up. Yeah, it's not true hexproof, which is the biggest downside. Um, but it is a 10 mana. It's like is it
It's
no, not 10
expert from
mana.
like anything that would remove it though. Yeah.
Yeah, and like if your life is at 40, it takes 2 swings with this or double strike to get to 10. Greater because it'll be
Mm.
5. So like you can get there pretty quick. Um, but I feel like I'm gonna put
And
this. I
especially
think. No, you go. Sorry.
well, like in the early game, there's a lot of people who will let a 4/4 just go through because they're like, I've got 40 life. Like, what's 1 or 2 hits?"
I
And
mean,
then it's like, oh no.
well, even if they block it, they still gain 4 or 5.
Sure.
So it's like it's
Mhm.
it's just like a big threat that's kind of a pain to kill. I guess I'm gonna put this. I think I'm gonna
Yeah.
put this in the tail end of. I'm gonna put this at the top end of kind of fun. My mind could be changed on it if I see like a cool build with it. But initially,
Yeah. I'd be interested to
it's a
see
big
what they
beater.
come up with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next up is Evereth, Viceroy of Plunder. 3 mana, 2/2 vampire soldier, has flying. You may sacrifice another creature or artifact and put a +1/+1 counter on this card. If the sacrificed permanent was a treasure, this creature gains lifelink until end of turn. Activate only as a sorcery. And then whenever they die, you may pay 1 in Rakdos Hybrid. When you do, this card deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. Oh,
Oh,
okay. So
that's
a few.
interesting.
So it's a Rakdos. So I remember back to the lender real quick. That'd be super fun to build. Do some lifelink stuff. Got red for extra. Oh, for this card. Yeah. So this is like Rakdos Treasures, right? Like it's a sacrifice outlet, but it is sorcery speed, which makes it worse than other sacrifice outlets because you can't do it on someone else's turn. However,
Yeah.
if you sacrifice treasures, like you it gets lifelink till end of turn. And you have to sacrifice 1 treasure to just give it like yeah, this seems really good. Because you can pump it probably like really quick and then just sacrifice it.
Yeah, yeah.
Where I think I put this in very fun. What are your thoughts on this?
I'm not super familiar with like what kind of stuff can do treasures. I don't play with treasure a lot. I'd be interested to try this though. Like I think there's a lot of sort of like fun interaction like internally that you could do with this. So I think like very fun is safe for sure. I'd be interested to see what we could come up with when we
Yeah,
build this.
Versatile says you can do some crazy stuff with her. Definitely a build for me. Yeah, that's super fair. Like the
Nice.
fact that she has notably it's a death trigger, so if she gets exiled, you don't get it. But the fact that if she dies,
True.
you can she deals damage equal to her power to each opponent. So if you
Yeah.
give this Tainted Strike, you can give her Infect, and she only has to be a 10/10 to kill the table.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, there's some cute stuff you could do with this. That's kind of fun.
Tainted
Okay.
Strike keeps getting more and more like higher on a list. I mention that card like every time.
Well, it's like there's so much like with power creep in the format. Like there's so much that like buffs people or gives things lifelink or makes life totals like a secondary objective, and you need to figure out ways to like sort of get around that in order to like clinch wins. So like poison counters is great, like Maze's End is great. Like there's any of these where like you need to sort of figure it out. So I think that's a
Yeah.
really good solution.
Yeah. Like someone said in chat, that Jack Heim said in chat, the sorcery speed sack is sucky, which it definitely is. But
That's true.
there are surprise wins with her because her second ability isn't sorcery speed. It's just the sacrificing of stuff. And in fact, she gets a counter, which is absolutely insane. And it's an artifact, so you can do Rakdos artifacts, which are notorious for being able to bring themselves back. like pretty easily.
Yeah, that's not going to be a problem.
And if you pair this with Alesha from earlier, they're both the same color identity, so you can play one and the other. So you can sack a creature, Alesha then will presumably you're attacking with this commander, and then Alesha will bring him back.
Oh, that's true. That's really cool.
So there are a lot of really cool things you can do. So yeah, I definitely this is going, I think, top end of very fun. It might be a wanna build. We'll see where we get with all of these. I try to have about 3 to 5 commanders that I want to build. So if there aren't any, I think this is definitely a wanna build, depending on how the rest of the field kind of plays out.
I think this would go in for me and want to build. I'd pretty comfortably say that. So we'll see where we end up at the end.
All right, I've had you and someone else in chat say wanna build. I'll bump it to wanna build. Let's do it.
All right, well, there we go.
And then someone said before we move on, Versatile in chat said, wait, put in Agatha's Soul Cauldron and Luxor. Oh yeah, Luxor gives it +1/+1 for each counter on it, so it essentially doubles its power and toughness. And then Agatha's Soul Cauldron is you can tap exile any card, but if it's a creature, creatures you control that have +1/+1 counters have those abilities. So a cute thing you could do with this is Tree of Perdition and Agatha's Soul Cauldron. Tree of Perdition says you may tap it and exchange target player's life total with the tree's toughness. So if you have a Tree of Redemption exiled with Agatha's Soul Cauldron, Evereth has tap switch its an opponent's life total with its toughness. So you can make someone's toughness like 2 or someone's life total 2.
Nice.
And then this creature's toughness becomes 40. So you could do Tree of Perdition.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Agatha's Soul Cauldron combo. Next up,
yeah,
is,
want to
that's
build
funny.
pretty safely.
Yeah, okay. I moved it up there. Famulus the Infestation. 4 mana, 2/2 Vampire Insect. Vampire Insect's interesting. Flying and Death Touch. Whenever a player sacrifices a non-token creature, create a 1/1 black insect creature token with flying. So it's whenever a player. So if you have a lot of sacrifice decks at your table that aren't tokens, really good. And then whenever an insect, leech, slug, or worm you control attacks, defending player loses 1 life and you gain 1 life.
Oh, okay.
That seems
That's pretty good.
that seems
It's
super
flying
good.
as well.
Yeah, and it triggers off itself, and it's life loss, and it's defending player, so it gets around the 1 ring. Was your life total you can't lose. Remember how the 1 ring works? You can't take damage, but your life total can change. So this gets around 1 ring because it doesn't target.
Yeah.
And it's because it's defending player, not target player. And you control attacks.
Yeah.
And okay, yeah. So if you attack someone with 5 insects, they lose 5. But if you split it up, each person loses the amount of life equal to the number of creatures attacking that player. But mono black, insect, leech, slug, or worm. Yeah, this seems. Oh man, where do I want to put this? What are your? Would you be interested in building this as like a mono black insect commander?
I think this is like really solidly in very fun. I don't know if this is quite wanna build for me, but that comes down to personal taste. Mono black is not super interesting to me.
So I think
but
that's fair. So there is one way you can build this that I think we're not thinking of, and that's mono black edicts, where you can force other players to sacrifice creatures.
Sure.
Right? Because
Which,
it's
like, that
whenever
could be kind of interesting.
whenever a player sacrifices a non-token creature. So if you say each player sacrifices a non-token creature with something like Sheoldred's Edict, you remove 3 creatures and then you get 3 creatures. So you're up 6 cards, right? Because you get 3
Sure.
1/1s. And there are a lot of like Grave Pact. Whenever a creature you control dies, each opponent sacrifices a creature. And if they're sacrificing non-token creatures, you keep getting 1/1s that you can then sacrifice to Grave Pact to then make them sacrifice. So as long as they have a board, you can get a bunch of 1/1s.
You know, that's true. And
I
do like tokens. Token decks are interesting to me.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of how many. I guess we can do. I haven't done a live Scryfall search yet, but I guess we can do one real quick. I'm curious
Yeah,
how
why not?
many. I'll do the search and I'll pull it up. So we have. Go to the tier maker here. So leech, snake, um, slug, worm. Allow partial type matches, and then so there are 54. Um, so we have Stonecoil Serpent, Gravebreaker Lamia, Rotten Mouth Viper, Enduring Tenacity. So there are actually quite a few. Like, did it say snake, or am I making that up?
No, you're making that up. It's
Oh, slug,
insect.
insect. I
Yeah,
put. I
yeah.
don't know why I put snake. I'm an idiot. All right, there are 106 between insects, worms, slugs. I'm missing one more. I don't know. My brain. Leech, or leech, or type leech. Have leech. I'm
Insect,
fine.
leech, slug, or worm.
Okay, I
Yeah.
have all of them. Yeah, so it's 106. Um, and
All
we'll
right,
say
so you have options
legal
then.
commander. 104 that are legal in commander. Yeah, like Canoptic Scarab Swarm. You exile a graveyard and make a 1/1 insect for each card, each artifact or land card exiled this way. Circuit Mender,
Oh,
Virus Beetle. Each person discards. Um, yeah, there are a ton of actually in for mono black a surprising number of like actually playable stuff, and you don't need to fill your deck with them because your commander can do it itself.
yeah, yeah.
So I
Okay.
think I almost want to put it wanna build. I'm gonna put it very
I
fun. I think edict effects can be very like mean, and I don't think a lot of people want to play with a
uh,
bunch of them. But
yeah, that's gonna be taxing at your table. Certainly, it could be like interesting, but like, to what end?
yeah, I definitely think it'll be so super good in the 99 of a deck. I'm gonna definitely put this in my Machias the Unhallowed deck because it's not a human. So yeah, a lot of really cool cards. I don't think I would want to build it, but because of most of the deck lists that would be very similar, yeah.
Yeah,
Versatile and chat just said it'd be very similar. I think that's super fair. It's cool in the 99 of decks though, like Grist. If you're building like an insect deck, it seems really solid there. But yeah, I feel like there's gonna be very similar decks across the board for this.
nice.
So next up, we have General Crete, the Boltbringer. This is a 3-mana 2/2 Goblin Soldier. Whenever one or more goblins you control attack, create a 1/1 red goblin creature token that's tapped and attacking. And then whenever another creature you control enters, General Crate deals 1 damage to each opponent.
Oh boy.
What are your thoughts? So our mutual friend Ben is building a goblins deck, and I told him to put this in it.
Oh, is he really? Well,
Yeah,
because another mutual friend Joe already has like a really broken Krenko deck, so like this is just gonna break that in half.
yeah. Someone put impact tremors on Kranko. Ah, yeah, kind of. Um, Thankfully, you do only get 1 goblin token even if you attack with 50 goblins, but you do have an impact tremors on a goblin commander, which is and Kranko's in this set. Kranko's in Foundations.
Oh, sure.
Because I'm not covering any reprints. I should have said that at the beginning. I'm only covering new commanders.
Oh, sure.
But and the fact that this is the one dealing damage, if you give this infect with like an equipment, because there is an equipment that it's grafted exoskeleton. If you give that it'll have infect, and because it's dealing damage, you just need 10 goblins to enter, and you infect out the table.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty nuts.
Like, or you give it lifelink because it's dealing damage, so you would gain life. You'd gain 3 life every time a goblin enters.
Yeah. Well, and there's so much stuff that gives you like synergy with goblins is very easy. So like you have options.
Yeah,
Stuff's gonna happen.
I, I think, I think I put it in kind of fun. I love the art. I like that this is a seemingly less busted goblin commander in Pauper EDH, where it's only commons and an uncommon commander. I would be very interested in this as a goblin commander. But I think in
Yeah.
like regular
I agree.
EDH, eh.
This is the commander you swap out when you're playing at the kids table, and then you just put Krenko back in when you're moving back to the grown up table.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing you can do. So yeah, I think right into the top end of kind of fun. I think is a good spot for it.
Yeah.
You want to read this next one?
Yeah, why not?
I
So
think this one's
let's
cool.
go ahead. Let's take a look at Gornog, the Red Reaper. This is a 3-mana 2/3. It's a Minotaur warrior. It has haste. Cowards can't block warriors. Whenever one or more warriors you control attack a player, target creature that player controls becomes a coward. Attacking warriors you control get +X+0, where X is the number of cowards your opponents control. That's awesome. That's very
So
cool.
yeah, and so notably they don't stop becoming cowards. So
Yeah.
as you attack, and if you attack any player, so if you attack 3 players, you get 3 cowards.
Yeah.
Someone said versatile in chat looks fun, but be a nightmare to play in paper. I feel if you were to play this in paper, you would just have to make a coward counter, or have some like little like gems or like not gems, like little like counters essentially to indicate,
Yeah.
hey, this creature's a coward.
Yeah, you would need like tokens or something to keep track of that.
And it's +X+O, where X is the number of cowards your opponents control. So if you attack with, you can
like
so
in
if you
totality though.
yes,
You know?
so if you attack with 3 warriors, if you attack 3 players with 3 warriors, they each get a coward, and all your warriors get +3/+0.
Yeah.
Because it's while they're attacking. So it's not like a trigger, it's a static that keeps checking while they're attacking.
Mhm.
And this doesn't have to be the one attacking. I mean, I think for like the coward line, I feel like very fun. Mono red warrior seems like it could work.
This is close to wanna build for me.
Close to, that's fair.
I think the cowards and warriors thing is pretty fun. Like I'd be interested in ways to trip this out. I don't know that this would stay as one of my decks. I'd probably build it and go, okay, that was fun, and then take it back apart.
That's
But
fair.
I would build it at least once.
Okay, I'm gonna leave it in very fun because I think it's very fun. Maybe, man, that's just tough. I'll put it wanna build with the caveat that I have to see how many mono red warriors there are.
That's true.
But I mean, I like it. Like, I'm sure you can make warrior tokens. I think, honestly, I'm here for it. I'll throw it in wanna build. All right, next up is Herska Sweet Tooth, a 3-mana 3/3 bear. Whenever it attacks, you make a food token, and whenever you gain life, you may pay Selesnya, so green-white hybrid. When you do, target creature gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the amount of life you've gained. So it's a green-white commander, cares about life gain. When it attacks, it makes a food, and then you can sacrifice that food to gain 3 life, and then you can and pay a green or a white to again then give this +3/+3, or +2/+2. No, 3 life, +3/+3. They're 360 red warriors. Good to know.
I was just looking at that. Yeah, I was like, that's doable. That's definitely doable.
But Herska here, green white life gain. It's a cute bear.
Sure.
I love this art. It looks like Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah, the art is good.
Art is good. It's pretty straightforward though, right? Like you gain life, and a creature gets +X/+X, where X amount of life you've gained. Like nothing super crazy.
No. I think as a commander, it's not the best. I think there are better bear commanders than this.
Yes. No. If you're building like an actual bear deck, this is like a life gain deck.
Sure.
What is kind of cute is if you give creatures double strike and lifelink, it's whenever you gain life. So you could attack, gain 5 life, pay a white or a green. Target creature gets +5/+5, and then it deals regular damage. So then you gain 10 life. Like so,
okay.
There are like ways you can definitely abuse this. I don't say abuse is the right word. It seems like a very fine card. I think in fun, tail end of fun.
Tail end of fun sounds right. Yeah.
Because it attacks, you make a food, which is whatever. And yeah, I think just tail end of fun. I like the art, so that's kind of carrying it a little bit. I like the food. I like life gain, but definitely just like a fun commander. Wait, go back to the bear real quick. Oh, yeah. Versatile in chat is asking which. I guess there's a slight stream delay. That's okay. I'm trying to think what else we could do with this commander.
It's like I don't do a lot of treasure. I don't do a lot of food in my decks. I'd be interested in trying things with it, but I don't know that it would stick around.
Can you use
Can
the
you use the
ability
yeah.
more than once per life gained? Whenever you gain life? No, because it's not saying whenever you gain a life. I don't think though. No, I don't believe so. Because it's triggering whenever you gain life, not whenever you gain a life. Like if whenever you gain life. I don't think so, because it's X amount of life you've gained. No, I don't think so, unfortunately.
That would
I
be
think
kind of funny.
yeah. I mean we can Arc Angel of Thune. I can pull up a
Let's pull a judge over here.
yeah, right? Yeah, so whenever you gain life, the rules text is if you gain an amount of life for each of something, but that life is gained as one event, the ability only triggers one. Like, you would have to have multiple instances of it to do it multiple times, but yeah, unfortunate. Unfortunately, it doesn't work the super powerful way. Well, I don't even know if that's more powerful, because you would have to put so much mana into it for, like, multiple triggers. I'd rather just pay one mana, give something like +10/+10. Next up, hey, a mono red warrior for the cowards deck.
Oh, there we go.
Do you want to read this one?
Yeah, so let's look at it. This is Evora Insatiable Air. It is a 2-mana 1/1, a vampire warrior with trample. And when Evora Insatiable Air enters and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, create a blood token. Whenever you discard a card, put a +1/+1 counter on Evora.
So blood
That's kind of
tokens.
interesting.
Yeah, so blood tokens, if you don't know, it's one, tap it, discard a card, sacrifice this artifact. That's all part of the cost, and then you draw a card. So this is an effect called rummaging. When you discard, then draw. Junk tokens from Fallout let you rummage. You sack the token, discard a card, draw a card. This seems actually really great. So you make a blood.
Yeah, interesting.
You can immediately discard it, put a counter on it. If it hits, you make more blood. Maybe better in the 99 in like of the Warriors deck. But if you want to build like a Madness deck where you're discarding stuff on purpose to get benefit, that could be really good, potentially. And then just cards like Currency Converter or Inti. There are a lot of really powerful cards you can pair with this.
Yeah. And Versatile makes a good point. All of the good draw cards in red are discard to draw.
That's true. Yeah, you have Pirate's Pillage. Oh my god. Pirate's Pillage, Unexpected Windfall. There's another one, Big Score, Wheels, right? So this card, whenever you discard a card, let's say you wheel your hand, Eli, and you discard 5 cards, this gets 5 counters.
Yeah.
Right?
So like there's good stuff happening.
So you can do mono red wheels with this. Yeah, this seems. I'm gonna put this in very fun.
Yeah, I think so.
Which is a surprise for a random like uncommon 2-mana commander, but like you're doing things in red that you already want to do, and then you also get the added benefit of having like commander damage. And if your commander dies, it's not the end of the world for your deck because you're probably putting in other effects that are similar to this. Also, just good in cycling decks. If you have like a red cycling deck, you discard it as a cost to cycle.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else. I think that's it. All right. Well, let's go to the next one. Next
Alrighty.
is Kellen Planar Trailblazer, a 1-mana 2/1 human fairy scout. 1 on a red. If Kellen is a scout, it becomes a human fairy detective and gains whenever Kellen deals combat damage to a player. Exile a top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. Great, more impulse draw. And you can pay 2 and a red. If Kellen's a detective, it becomes a 3/2 human fairy rogue and gains double strike.
Nice.
So it loses the detective part, but it does keep that first ability of if it's a scout, it becomes a detective. And whenever it deals combat damage to a player, it's the top card of your library. Okay, so it's impulse draw from a commander, right? Like, it has to hit. So you play this on for 1 mana, 2 mana, you make it into a 2/1, and then you can make it into a 3/2 on turn 3.
Well, and you keep the other benefits, don't you?
Yep. Yeah, but you can't
Yeah.
because it becomes a detective or a rogue, you can't keep activating that first ability because it's checking if it's a scout, unless you play a card like Maskwood Nexus, which says creatures you control are all types. And you could then potentially keep paying mana into that first ability, and that text of whatever deals combat damage to a player, exile a top card of your library. You can get multiple instances of that if you can make this into all creature types.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. That's a good point. Versatile says it's interesting. The first thing you think of is you'd have to have the first 3 turns mapped out.
Yes, right? Like your turn 1 would be this, turn 2 you do it again, turn 3 you do it again. So it's like, you can look at it as it's online on turn 3, so it's a turn 3 commander. And because it gives itself double strike, right? Which is great because it's whenever you deal combat damage to a player. So if you hit them twice, you get 2 impulses.
Mhm.
God, I hate Kellen as a concept. Yeah. You know what? Listen, I know people aren't super happy with him. He's been in a lot of sets. I think this card's cool, though. I think I'm trying to think if it's fun. I feel like it could be.
I think there's some creative things that you could do with it. There's going to be a lot of people who build just bad versions of this.
Cat, don't rub your face on the mic. Get on my lap. Yes. Yeah, they're going to be just like Voltron dumb, like turn 3 kill somebody with this. But
Yeah,
I think
quite slow.
I think I'm going to put it in the middle of fun. I think above Bregon and below Snakes. I can't wait for 2026 when I can make my Kellen Typal deck. True. It's like Omnath, like we have all our Omnaths. Yeah, Kellen's getting a lot of cards. And now he's in red. We still don't have a black or white Kellen. No, we have white. Well, we have red-white. We don't have a black colored pie Kellen yet, so we'll see what that happens.
Nice.
Next up is Kiora, the Rising Tide. Vampire Kellen and Innistrad and Kellen being canon in Marvel. God.
That's coming. You know that's coming.
Oh, God. Next up is Kiora, the Rising Tide. Do we have a Kellen support group video? Kiora, the Rising Tide. 3 mana, 3/2 Merfolk Noble. When it enters, you draw 2, then discard 2. And then Threshold, whenever Kiora attacks, if there are 7 or more cards in your graveyard, you may create a Scion of the Deep, a legendary 8/8 blue octopus creature token. Okay. Sure. What do we think about this? This is so weird.
I'd be interested to see if you could figure out something where you get value from octopuses entering so that you could do it multiple times.
Yeah, because it's not a May trigger, is it?
Well,
oh no, it is a May trigger.
But it's legendary, so it's like there's no value in there's no inherent value in making more than one of them because of the legendary rule. So is there something you could put on top of this to make that interesting?
I mean, and she has to attack. So it's not even like you can do this multiple times in a turn. You get this once on each of your turns. Like it feels.
And then that token has summoning sickness, so you're like, oh, so what's even the point?
Yeah, and you need 7 cards in your yard, which notably isn't that hard to do. But I feel like this is I don't know. I feel kind of fun. Cat, can you stop sitting on my keyboard? Oh my gosh. Oh, Lord of Mercy. Okay.
I guess
sorry.
It's on the tail end of kind of fun. I'm not. At some point we gotta be mean and put something in not fun. And I'm not sure that this is it, but
I don't think this is it. I think it's less fun than Jellyfish, more fun than Exerting.
Sure.
I think is where we're gonna put this. Yeah, if the token wasn't legendary, I'm definitely into this, but I feel like that'd be... I don't even know if that'd be too good. It's an 8/8 with no keywords once a turn, and you need 7 cards in your graveyard. Like, it's not a small amount of hoops to jump through for just an 8/8 vanilla creature.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, it doesn't have Island Walk. It doesn't have like Land Walk of any type. It does like there's no effect on this token. So yeah,
Yeah.
I
Well,
think
and then
we'll
it's
just
what's the other ability when it enters draw 2, then discard 2? Yeah, I don't know, Ben. This is like kind of there's not really
yeah
anything going for this.
yeah. I think yeah. I like drawing cards though, and you can blink it and like do cute stuff. So I don't think it's not fun. I definitely don't think it's not fun though. I think it's between kind of fun and not fun. I think it's
Yeah.
closer to kind of fun because you can draw cards with it, which people like. I don't know. Maybe I'm coping. Maybe it's
I
not
think
fun.
there's better card draw out there,
Yeah,
even in blue.
I'm gonna put it not fun, and maybe I'm supposed to put the Exert Commander in not fun, but at least that you can kind of build around it. So
Yeah. Yeah, I
all
think
right,
that's fair.
yeah, and versatile in chat said you have to attack with a 3/2 in the mid game. It just gets chumped. Yeah.
Yeah, it gets chomped on for sure.
Next up is Coma World Eater. So this is a new Coma. It is a 7 mana, 8/12 serpent. This spell can't be countered. Trample, ward 4, and whenever Coma deals combat damage to a player, create 4 3/3 blue serpent creature tokens named Coma's Coil.
Oh my god.
Holy F
They,
that stat line. Yeah.
yeah, what we were talking about literally last card is making tokens. This is the good version of that.
Yeah. Can't be countered. Ward 4 and trample. You're in Simic, so you have the mana ramp for it. Like, that's not a hard thing to do.
No.
And it doesn't have to deal 8 damage. It just needs to deal 1 combat damage to make 3 serpents. And if you give it double strike, I mean, you're dealing 16 damage, so they're in trouble. But
and again, like it's an 8/12 with trample. Combat damage is not going to be the problem.
yeah, like yeah, this man, it Simic Unga Bunga cards are always like so meh to me, but like 7 mana 8/12 with trample and ward 4, like that's almost hexproof. Like
I'd put that. That's functionally hexproof.
Where do I want to put this? Kind of fun. I'm sorry, very fun. Fun.
I put this in very fun.
Okay.
Like it, and like that's because there's enough of a 4-year-old in me who likes Unga Bunga, but Unga Bunga it is.
Oh, yeah. It is. I put it right. I put it below the warrior, the discarding warrior, but above the beetle. Yeah, like this is less oppressive than original Coma, which is nice. Like, this does have to attack and it does have to survive a turn cycle, so there is that.
This is my new player coming out, but I need to look up original Coma.
Oh, original Coma's dumb.
We're talking about Cosmos Serpent.
Yeah, and I have a playtest card, a Coma playtest card, signed by Gavin Verhey that I want to build a deck around still.
Oh, nice. I see what you mean. This one's a little bit more like it's a weaker creature, but like that's just for free. It makes 3/3 serpents, and then you have
every turn. Yeah.
Yeah.
For Commander to soft win con, like countering, like this countering 7/7, they stuff in every blue precon. Yeah. This is just like you can just play a Simic deck, and if this is your commander, you just always kind of have a way to close out the game.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have Kaikar Zephyr Awakener. 4 mana 3/4 bird wizard with flying. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, choose one. Exile another target creature you control. Return that creature to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. Or make a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying.
Nice.
What are your thoughts on this? Would you build a mono white? No, sorry, it's blue white, not mono white. Azorius bird wizard deck?
No, it's interesting. I do like decks that get a lot of value from stuff entering the battlefield. Like, that's something that I do build a lot, and having a way to like
blink them,
functionally blink these things in and out is like pretty fun. Whenever you cast, it's another target creature, so you couldn't do it to this guy.
Nope. And
like, as protection.
Yep. I really don't like this, to be honest. We already have a ton of white and blue blink commanders. Yeah, we do have a lot of those. I
That's
feel
fair
like
enough.
you can also just build this as like a token deck. I I want to put this in my
Sure.
Super Friends deck because planeswalkers aren't creatures, and I get 1/1 spirits that are blockers for my planeswalkers. Um,
Oh yeah, that's cool.
and if I turn my planeswalkers into creatures, I can then blink my planeswalkers if I need to like reset them. But hated they took red away from Kaikar, but I'm slowly warming up to it. Low key mad bird wizards have been more typal cards than bears. Yeah, there's been a lot of bird wizards, which is a weird
Sure.
sentence to say. Most birds are wizards. I don't know if that's actually true, but there's a lot of bird wizards.
It
Um,
feels like that. Like when you're trying to build a wizard deck and half the cards are birds. You're like, oh, okay.
yeah, it's super weird. I think we're gonna put this. I think solidly at like maybe the tail end of fun. Like it's a blink deck. I think it's more fun than the bear. Less fun than Bregon. Is it less fun than Kellen? Yeah, I think it's less fun than
Uh,
Kellen.
yeah, I'd say so.
I feel like there's a lot of options if you want to build a deck like this.
Mhm.
So, all right. Next, you want to read loot? I'm giving you the land cards because I know you'll like them.
Oh, very good. Okay, well, this is Loot, Exuberant Explorer. It's a 3-mana 1/4. It's a Beast Noble. I like his cape. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. That's pretty good. And then for 4 and 2 green, you can tap and then look at the 6 cards of your on the top of your library. You may reveal a creature card with mana value less than or equal to the number of lands you control from among them, and then put it onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom in a random order. Uh, sure. Like
See, I,
it's card advantage. It has land synergies.
I mean,
This,
you also can
this
do
one's
that
okay.
ability. You can do that ability at instant speed. Notably, it's not sorcery speed, so you can instant
That's
speed put
true.
a creature. Um,
That's true. But for 6 mana, which I know like six
I-
mana is like more manageable in green than it is in other colors, but it's
yeah.
still 6.
I
That's a
mean,
lot.
you play this on turn two because you ramp into it off like a Llanowar Elf, and then you play your land. So on turn three, you have um almost enough mana immediately to do this.
Yeah, yeah.
Like if you play land mana dork, land this land dork, land, you're flipping this on turn four or turn
Sure.
three.
If you have
Um,
the right hand, you do, yeah.
yeah. So in chat, Versatile said, "Wow, could it be a
There's some good
mono green
conversation.
land commander likes big stompy creatures?" Um, yeah, it
That's
is
a
for
good point from Sport Trace. It's a basic set, so like if you buy the whole set, you have one of the versions of this now.
yeah, it is definitely like a very basic card, and I think it goes into kind of fun because of just how linear it like it's you know it's fine.
Yeah,
Like
it's it's perfectly fine.
it is an
Points for
absolutely
art.
yes. I mean, people hate this art. People hate this creature. I love Loot. I think he's adorable. People think he's terrifying.
He looks like a Pokemon.
He do be giving Pokemon vibes. Great in the 99 though. If you just want to put this in the 99 of a land deck, like it's another 3 mana card that lets you play additional lands. So
Yeah, that's relatively cheap. Like in the
yep.
mid game, certainly.
Um, also this is seems really good in Necrobloom because you can cheat Kodama in pretty easily with this.
Oh, that's true. What is Kadama is already like a
Six.
6 cost though,
6 mana
isn't it?
6/6. Yeah, but
Yeah,
you get a dig in the top six, right? So like if someone's
sure,
going
sure.
for like the fact that this doesn't have summoning a activate only at sorcery speed seems like it could be actually really good with cards like Seedborn Muse, right? You're untapping your creatures each turn, like all your stuff, so you can like just dump out creatures from your deck.
Yeah.
Um, I'm gonna put this. Flipping big creatures is never not fun except for the most try-hard players. I
You
feel like
know
we can,
what? That's a fair point.
I mean, I'm gonna put it I'm gonna put it above the mono green centaur and fun. That first one, I think it's more fun than. Do you think it's more fun than that? Just like a big, or do you think it's a little less fun?
I personally would play the Centaur as the commander before I played this,
Okay.
but I think like that comes down to taste,
How about
and I
Alesha?
think you're probably right.
Do you think it's above or below Alesha?
It's above Alesha for me.
You think? Okay, we'll do that. I'm
Yeah.
fine with that. Yeah, I'm not like super attached to like where on the fun it is. For this guy, I think he's like a solidly fun commander. I don't think he's very fun. What now? I'm gonna be making a video on this. I need to figure out how I want to structure it. But you could definitely make a what I'm calling like a pile deck. So the concept for a pile deck is, let's say you have like Loot who cares about just creatures from the top of your deck. You could get a pile of random mono green creatures, and let's say you have a pile of like 90 creatures, and you shuffle in 30 of them each game. So you have a different set of creatures each time you're playing this commander. That way you're not just trying to cheat into the same thing every turn. My friend has that with his eggs deck, Atla Palani, where whenever an egg dies, you reveal the top card of your library until you hit a creature.
Sure.
And he has an egg pile where he has just every time there's a new creature in his colors that comes out that he wants, he gets it and adds it to the pile.
No, that's kind of cool because then like your deck never gets stale.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. I could see that.
So you could do that with this because there's not like a true strategy with it. Or you could even do like a modular deck where you're like, I want a beast theme. So you just have like the core like non-creature spells and lands are the same, but then you have a bunch of beasts in the deck. Or an elf deck, like however you want to do it.
Or do a noble deck.
Yes, right. Mono green noble. So I think this is like a good candidate for it because you can just cheat stuff into play.
Yeah.
So yeah. Next up, we have Nazar the Velvet Fang. 4 mana, 3/3 Vampire Warlock with Menace. Whenever you gain life, put a feeding counter on Nazar. Hate that counter type. Don't know why. That just, each their own, I guess. Whenever Nazar attacks, you may remove 3 feeding counters from it. Still hate that. If you do, draw 3 cards and you lose 3 life. So,
okay.
Okay, 4 mana. So it's a life gain commander in mono black, which is fine. Mm-hmm. Nothing like super fancy about that. But it seems like it should be pretty good.
Sure. Yeah.
I
don't know that I have too much to say about.
Yeah, it's life gain. You have to attack and then remove 3 counters, but like gaining life. Yeah, which is fine. Like it's in a Jumpstart set. It's meant for like newer players. I think solidly I think it's more fun than the Bear life gain, less fun than Kaikar. It's still fun.
Yeah.
Just like I'm not jumping out of my seat to build it, but I definitely have homes for it.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Next up, do you want to read this one? How dare I draft chaff? How dare I put that in more bear? Listen, that is more fun than the bear, okay? Sorry.
Yeah, it is. Sorry, man. All right, so we got Neardiv, Devious Diver. This is a 3 mana 2/2. It's a Merfolk Rogue. Whenever Neardiv becomes tapped, target player mills cards equal to its power. Whenever you cast a spell from your graveyard or an activated ability of a card in your graveyard, draw a card and put a +1/+1 counter on Neardiv. This is interesting. This is very interesting. It's like it has mill stuff going on. It has graveyard interaction in mono blue.
This is
like
Zelda's.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah, so okay, so this would be fun to trigger lab man type win cons, yeah, where you can just like mill yourself. Definitely a thing if you want to do that. Thassa's Oracle. Whenever you cast a spell from your graveyard or activate an ability of a card in your graveyard. I'm trying to think of how many cards have activated abilities from graveyards in mono blue. I would have to look, and I don't feel like doing that right this second. But there are cards that give all your spells flashback.
My mill deck. Totally. In my mill deck, there's Gale of Waterdeep is in there, and he can, like if he casts an instant, you can then cast a sorcery from the graveyard or vice versa. So like, and he's mono blue. That could be kind of fun.
Oh yeah, that could definitely go in there. Yeah, this seems solid. I feel like there's enough cute things you can do, and you get a draw card. So like, you already have the advantage of cards with flashback essentially having, or it's kind of like drawing a card, right? Because you're playing it from the graveyard. but then you actually factually get to draw a card.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think honestly, I'm gonna put this in Wanna build. I
Oh,
think
okay.
I think it's
Sure.
a unique enough mono blue commander that isn't just like, I mean, you can obviously build it as just like um a combo deck where like intruder alarm, it, and some way of like getting cards from your like I'm sure there's some way you can like do a cute infinite combo with this. Um, but that's just like not how I would want to build it. I would definitely want to build it as like a mono blue graveyard spells commander, which is probably like a little weird.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's enough cute things you can do from the graveyard to make this more interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, infinite tap is boring. Yeah, intruder alarm, narcomoeba, some way to put narcomoeba back on top of your library, then you mill narcomoeba, put narcomoeba back in play. Like there's a loop for it somewhere. Like
Yeah, for sure.
there's immediately a loop. So do you want to read Niv Mizzet? I feel like
Yeah,
you'd
let's
like
look
this
at it.
card.
So Niv Mizzet Visionary is a 6-mana 5/5 dragon wizard. This flying, and you have no maximum hand size. And whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, you draw that many cards. This is very solidly very fun, even close to wanna build for me. Because like something that really frustrates me is when I'm playing and like I don't have like card draw in it, and like I can't find my card draw that's into the deck. So I love commanders that have card draw sort of built into them. I have an Aragorn King of Gondor deck that I run that has card draw built in. I love the Monarch mechanic. Anything where the commander has card draw, I'm into. So like this is kind of fun.
So I'm not sure if you're reading chat. This Niv Mizzet goes infinite with other Niv Mizzets that we've have. Like just
Oh
those.
really?
Yeah. There are other
No,
Niv
explain that
Mizzets.
to me.
So let
Okay.
me pull up. I can pull up Scryfall because there are more Niv Mizzets than I thought there would be. So there are currently 7 Niv Mizzets.
Okay.
3 of which are 5 colors, and the other 4 are so black. I'm sorry, blue, red. Um, so there's Niv Mizzet Perun, which is a 6-mana 5/5 legendary dragon wizard. Shocking, has flying. Whenever you draw a card, Niv Mizzet deals 1 damage to any target. So if you have that Niv Mizzet and Niv Mizzet a Visionary in play, you draw a card. Niv Mizzet Perun deals 1 damage to a target. Then Niv Mizzet Visionary triggers, and then you draw 1 card. And then Niv Mizzet Perun. Same thing with, is it Niv Mizzet Firemind? Yeah, Niv Mizzet the Firemind. Whenever you draw a card, Niv Mizzet the Firemind deals 1 damage to any target. And with Visionary in play, you draw your entire deck.
Okay. No, I'm building this. This seems hilarious.
Yeah, so there are 3 other Niv Mizzets you can put in the deck that are in red blue, and then there are 3 3 5-color Niv Mizzets that care about color pairs, like specifically 2 colored pairs.
Okay.
So I might need to build. I think I have all 3 of these Niv. I think I have all these Niv Mizzets except for Visionary just laying around somewhere. I have to look. But you said you want to put this in very fun.
I'd put this in wanna build.
Want to build for you?
Like
Okay.
I think very fun is fair. I will end up building this at some point. I just know myself.
I love how 120 health is usually bigger than your library though. Oh yeah, like you're right. You can't just burn the table out with this. But if you have ways of shuffling your graveyard, which you're in blue, so you have plenty of ways of like shuffling your graveyard into your library. That'll work. Or usually you just win by drawing your library and then doing some other thing.
Yeah.
So, and you don't have to take out every player. Like this is easy enough to do at the cleanup step, where when you discard. I'm trying to think. So I think if you have like an Eldrazi, let me go back to the card real quick. If you have like an Eldrazi, right, it says whenever it's put into your graveyard, shuffle it away. So if you discard for hand size, discarding it all like an Eldrazi, you do shuffle everything back in, and then I want to say you get another chance of you get priority again. So if you can instant speed draw a card on your end step, I think you can keep looping this,
Oh, I see what
pitching an
you're saying,
Eldrazi,
yeah.
shuffling your library, your graveyard back into your library, then doing it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I
Yeah,
think
that's solid.
I think you would get priority again. I'd have to. If chat doesn't tell me, let me know in the comments. Okay, yes, triggers during your cleanup step give you prio again. So if you have like an Eldrazi Titan that shuffles your graveyard away, you can do this on the end step, like at a very weird time. So that's cute. Or if you have 7 cards and just like you don't have Progenitus or World Spine Worm, but if you have those colors 2 cards that shuffle themselves back into your library, as long as you have 7 cards, you can like draw a card, clean up, discard a card, put it back in, and then you can keep looping that 1 card through your library.
Yeah.
All right.
Sick.
Next up is Uzox, the Clattering King. It's a 3-mana 3/2 Skeleton Noble. It can't block. When it dies, create Jumble Bones, a legendary 2/1 black skeleton creature token. With this creature can't block, and when this creature leaves the battlefield, return target card named Uzox the Clatter King from your graveyard to your hand. What?
Okay. So I saw an article about this actually when I was like just scrolling on my phone earlier this week. You can have this basically go infinite if you have like Ashnod's Altar or like another sack outlet where you can just like dump creatures and like
Yeah. I mean, you need a way to filter the mana, which is, I think, because you need black and colorless. Phyrexian Altar and Ashnod's Altar, if you have both of them in play, that would work weirdly enough.
Mm-hmm.
This thing seems like it is I feel like there's some dumb combo that we're just missing with this.
Yeah. But it's like, as a commander, having a way where you can functionally like never have to put it in the command zone again is kind of fun.
Yeah. I mean, if it gets exiled, obviously that's an issue.
Sure.
Because it's a death trigger, but you're mono black, so you can just sacrifice this like
before it gets exiled.
Yeah. Okay. I like the art. I think I'm gonna put this. I think I put this in. It's not quite wanna build. I think I put it in fun. I think it's below Alesha, but I think above Snakes.
I think that sounds right.
I have to run to the restroom real quick, so I'm gonna give you this next card while I go to the bathroom. You're on your own. Don't ruin the stream.
Oh my god, the pressure. All right, everyone. Spore is gonna do a combo with it. Meanwhile, I just play mono black. Good stuff. No, absolutely. And sack it for draw. That's a fair point. Like getting the extra draw out of this is going to be really helpful and powerful. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at Plagon Lord of the Beach. That is a 3-mana 0/3 Starfish Wizard. Whenever Plagon Lord of the Beach enters, draw a card for each creature you control with toughness greater than its power. And then for white or blue, target creature you control assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power this turn. Okay. Well, I mean, this is like, let's just like state the obvious. It looks like a SpongeBob tie-in. Like there's some good stuff happening there. Okay. So like there's some interesting things you could do with the second ability there. Like the target creature you control assigns combat damage equal to toughness rather than power. Like that gives it. Oh, Ben's back. All right, Ben, explain this card to me. I'll admit I'm a little confused.
Okay, so you already read it, I'm assuming. 0/3, yes. It's a Starfish Wizard. Love that for some reason. Enters, draw a card for each creature you control. Toughness greater than its power. Okay. Blue and a white, target creature you control assigns combat damage equal. Okay. So what this card does is, so let's say you have like you play this and you have another 0/3 in play, or like a 1/2. You would draw 2 cards because you draw a card for each creature you control with toughness greater than its power.
Sure.
And then let's say you attack with a 0/3 crab. You can pay a white or a blue, and then when that crab attacks, it essentially becomes a 3/3 because its toughness also becomes its power. But
yeah,
it assigns combat damage equal to its toughness. It doesn't actually change its toughness or its power rather. So there are cards like Tetsuo Umezawa that say creatures with power 1 or less can't be blocked. So if you attack with a bunch of 0/3s and then pay a bunch of blue mana or white Azorius mana into them, they're unblockable, and then they also deal more damage.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay.
So it's a blue-white butts matter, essentially, commander.
Yeah. This would do really well at my table, just because like in the threat assessment categories, people would go 0/3 and then they would just move on. And like that speaks more to the relative inexperience at my table than anything. But like it'd be kind of fun the first couple games to sort of just skate by, and then when you're ready to make your move, just like go for it.
Well, this I like this also as a wild pair commander deck. Well, no, I'm sorry, you're in green white. You're blue white. You can't do wild pair. That's green. I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
Ignore me. But if you want to build like a crab deck, because crabs usually have much lower toughness, you could build crabs using this starfish. And that card draw is actually really good for each creature you control. So it enters, it immediately draws you a card.
Yeah.
Unless it dies while its triggers resolving. While its triggers on the stack, then you draw nothing. If you have no other creatures. But if you play hard evidence on 1, make a 0/3 crab, turn 2, play another crab, turn 3, play this, draw 3 cards.
Yeah.
There are ways. I'm sure there are ways to like augment, like switch toughness or like lower, or like increase toughness, lower power, or just increase. I mean, there are definitely cards that just increase toughness too. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Where do we want to put this? This is, I think, a tougher call for me because I like that you could build like a walls deck with it if you really wanted to.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. I wouldn't have thought of that.
It goes into like Arcades, which is Bant walls, blue, white, green, because this just draws you a whole bunch of cards, or you could just build like defenders with it. Because remember, if you have a 0/5 defender, you can still use this on it, and when it's blocking something, it can deal 5 to whatever it's blocking.
Yeah, that's true.
As I think we're gonna put this. I'm gonna put this right at the tail end of very fun. I think for me personally. What do you think? Where'd you?
I'd say so.
Okay.
It's unique enough that I would enjoy building it, certainly.
Yes, and it is. I like that it's blue white, not mono blue, and it also has homes in other decks, which is I think a really like strong point for it.
Yeah, I'd agree.
All right. Next up is Paul Dramar, Illusionist. 6 mana, 4/5 human illusionist wizard with flying. When it enters, choose a creature type. Draw a card for each creature you control of that type. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know how much I like this as a commander, though.
No, I agree.
So
this definitely goes into my human tribal deck, but it's not the commander of it.
Yeah, like I definitely. So if you want to build like a mono blue kindred deck, and you're just like, man, I don't know what commander I want for it, you just play this. Sure. And it's a 6 mana draw a whole bunch of cards. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you want to play this as like you could again. You have to build like a deck mono. If you built mono blue wizards, and you use this as your commander because you get a draw card for all your wizards, and it's when it enters, so you can keep blinking it to like draw a whole bunch. But I feel like this is a better card in the 99.
Yeah, no, I don't think this adds enough value to put it in the command slot.
I'm gonna put this at the tail end of fun. I think just drawing a whole bunch of cards can be fun, but I feel like No, I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe kind of fun.
I I'm hesitant to put it into kind of fun if I'm being honest.
Really? You'd put
Like
it in not fun.
I can find cheaper card draw like than 6 mana.
That's fair. Maybe I'm looking at it from the 99 and I think it's a fun card in the 99, but yeah, as a commander, maybe it's just not fun. I mean, drawing cards,
You know,
but
like
it's so
I
tough.
needed to add more to the I needed to add more to the field as the commander. And
That's
if it's just a card draw, I can find cheaper card draw.
that is super fair. All right. Well, I'll put it in not fun. I'll put it at the top end of not fun. And we will move
Listen,
on.
it's your channel. You can put it wherever.
No, I think I agree with that. I think you've convinced me. You have to cheat it out for it to matter. Yeah. Yeah, it's probably better than
Yeah,
99,
great.
which is fine, which is honestly great. You have like you're playing any deck that cares about a creature type in mono blue, you probably just include this and you're probably not like that mad about it if you've enough creatures.
Yeah.
Next up is Semilia Maletian Maletian
I'd say the Meletian poet. But I have no
poet.
idea.
Listen, you speak English better than I do. 3
I don't
mana
know if that's
1
true.
1 3 mana 1 human bard. Hey, it goes in best. Whenever you cast your first enchantment spell each turn, create a 2/2 white nymph enchantment creature token. At the beginning of each combat, if you control 5 or more enchantments, this creature gets +4/+4 and lifelink till end of turn.
Oh, okay.
So
This is interesting.
it's like a mono white enchantress commander, or enchantment commander that makes 2/2s.
Yeah.
It seems really good in Amanatu, the new Amanatu deck, because you can cast enchantments on other people's turns, and it's each turn. So as long as the enchantment has flash,
Oh,
you can keep getting you can get 2/2s on each person's turn.
that's actually a super fair point. I think you could tweak that Amanatu deck pretty easily to make this like really busted.
Yeah. But as a standalone commander, I'm trying to think where do I want to put this. I feel like it's kind of fun. I feel like if you're
Kinda
looking for
fun
a
is fair.
lower, I think if you're looking for like a lower power enchantment commander, this is definitely a solid option. It makes
Sure.
2/2s, so you play this and you play just a cheap enchantment. Again, I think it's probably better in the 99 of decks. But even then,
Well,
I think there are better enchantment payoffs in most situations than this
probably.
because you
But
have to
like
cast it. So
we've said this a couple times. Like this would make an excellent popper commander. It's not
yes,
like a traditional commander thing, but as a popper thing, like big thumbs up.
yeah. If you want to play this in PEDH, proper EDH, you again that's uncommon. Any uncommon creature can be your commander. Doesn't have to be legendary, but you can play this in a bunch of common enchantment creatures.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like throwing all that glitters on them, or like there are a lot of really cool things you can do. But in its own spot, I think kind of fun. I think it's below goblins. I think it's second in kind of fun.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'd say so. That sounds good.
Is it more fun than Alenda though? More fun than Life Gain? Maybe it's actually behind Cat. Man, I'm struggling where to put this. I think it's
I personally like tokens. Like cheap tokens is fun to me. But like that's personal taste, you know.
yeah. I'm gonna put it behind Alenda, in front of Erebos, only because it's mono white versus white black, and I think having more color sometimes, like within a reason, can make cards more fun because you have more tools to play with.
Yes.
And that's
I
my
agree.
cope.
I mean, as a dedicated Jeskai player, I'm huffing that copium every day.
All right. Next up is Koala, a Johnny's Pride Mate. 4 mana 3/3 Cat Warrior. Whenever it attacks, other attacking creatures you control get +X/+O until end of turn, where X is the number of counters on this card. Whenever you gain life, put a counter on it, and you pay 3 and a white, gain a life. So, a Johnny's
Sure.
Pride Mate is a 2 mana 1/1. Gain a life, put a +1/+1 counter on it. We have a legendary version of it now, a 4 mana 3/3 that also pumps your team. If you
There's a Pride Mate to command, finally. A 100 out of 10.
yeah, like this, if you want to build a Soul Sisters deck, I feel like you just play this. like you just want to gain a whole bunch of life, you play this. This is almost like if so. I know you're working on a best deck. This reminds me of best, but in mono white, where you just have to gain life and then attack with this.
Yeah, which is like that's doable certainly.
And notably, it cares about the number of counters, not the number of +1/+1 counters. So if you can put other types of counters on this, it keeps growing. So if you have like mono white proliferation, you proliferate all the counters on it. Yeah, I think honestly, I just love Soul Sisters decks. I want to put this in wanna build. It's gonna be super easy to build, but I think I want to build it for the Timmy and me. Like,
why not? It seems fun.
All right. Anyways, yeah. So I think want to build. Next up,
solidly there. I think so.
Yeah. It's a great. It's one of those decks that if you're teaching someone Magic, there's a lot of triggers in it, but I feel like it'll be a good way to remind them about like to learn how triggers work. But it is a simple deck because you're just gaining life and putting counters on one thing. Unlike Best, where it's like, I feel like Best is an easy deck to give to a new player, but then I realized I've been playing for 15 years and remembering 15 triggers from a 1/1 entering might be hard.
No, totally. And like with Best especially, then it's like, oh god, now like which order the triggers go in matters. And like, because I remember you handed me a Best deck to play at the table, and I was going, okay, this will be pretty simple, and it really snowballed in a way that I didn't expect it to.
Yes. So I feel like this Commander Qual will be a similar thing where you're like, oh, this is pretty straightforward, and then you look and you're like, oh no.
No.
And notably, whenever you gain life, it's not that much life. So if you gain 10 life and in one shot, you still just put a single counter. So in this case, you want lots of instances of 1 life, which there are some new Soul Sister creatures in the deck. I guess you don't know when I say Soul Sisters what I mean.
No, hit me with that.
Soul Sisters is a archetype based around Soul Warden and Soul. Oh my god, Soul Warden and not Suture Priest. Why am I forgetting what the other card is? They're 1/1s that whenever a creature enters, you gain 1 life. Is essentially what they say. They're 1 mana 1/1s. So the deck would be you just put a bunch of those in your deck and gain a whole bunch of life and like get a bunch of benefit. So there are a ton of those effects in white where you can just load your entire deck up with them, and as you play creatures and your opponents play creatures, you're just gaining life, growing this thing.
Nice.
And then also you can pay 4 mana and give yourself 1 life. It's an awful rate. That is a god-awful rate. But you can.
Well, I mean, you just sort of save that, and then like right before your upkeep, like on your opponent's end step, okay, I happen to have 4 left over. Let's do it.
Yeah, you could definitely just like kind of pump a little bit at the end if you have extra mana left over. Definitely a thing. Or if you can reduce the activated cost. Like if you could get this down to 1 white mana, definitely be worth it. I've won games from paying 6 mana for 2 tokens on. Yeah. They're like 4 mana is like there's a lot for this effect, but it can matter because if you have 10 creatures, gaining 1 life is an extra 10 damage. Because it's so.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Next up is Rev Tithe Extractor. This is a 4 mana 3/3 human rogue. Whenever you attack, target creature gains Death Touch till end of turn. So you can give this to opponent's creatures. Don't know why you'd want to do that, but you can. I guess they have a pinger. You can give like someone that pings something Death Touch. But whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, make a treasure token. Then look at the top card of that player's library. Exile it face down. You may cast that card for as long as it remains exiled. Oh. Well, I want this for my Xanathar deck. But man, so whenever you attack, target creature gains Death Touch. So, and by the way, it doesn't have to be this creature attacking. It's whenever you attack.
Yes.
One or more.
It's until
One or
end
more
of
creatures.
turn.
Yep. So you attack, it gets Death Touch. So if they don't want to block it, you get to take a card from the top of their library. So notably, you can't play lands because it says you may cast it for the rest of the game, or for as long as it remains exiled. So if you hit lands, you can't do anything with those. But you do get to, and you have to pay the colored mana. So if you hit something that's 5 red, like 5 red pips, you have to pay 5 red pips, which is why you get treasures.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
Where do you, I feel like this is very fun.
Sure. Yeah.
Do you not think so?
I'm trying to wrap my head around it. Like I want to do something like really cute with the death touch, but I'm trying to figure out a way that giving my opponent death touch helps me. So I might just be overthinking this.
You're probably just overthinking it. I think you just attack, you give like a creature that they don't want to just trade up for Death Touch or Trample. Because do you know how Death Touch and Trample works? If not, I can explain it to everybody.
No, please.
So Trample, you have to assign lethal damage, and then the rest of the damage is dealt to the player or planeswalker you're attacking.
Sure.
So if you have Trample and Death Touch, let's say you attack with a 5/5 Trample Death Touch, and they block with one creature, you only have to assign 1 point of lethal damage, even if it's a 10/10. So the other 4 damage still goes over. So if you give something Trample and Death Touch, and black has not a lot of ways to give stuff Trample, but there are artifacts, I guess. You can make it so they have to block with creatures equal to your creature's power, or creature's toughness to kill it.
Sure.
Like you have to deal. Obviously, you would, but like it's harder to block. I think this is gonna go. I think tail end is very fun for me.
Sure. Yeah, that seems right. It's got stuff going on for it. There's like some fun internal interaction you can do.
Yeah, and I think I like Theft decks, and I like that it does less salty tier grid. Basically, yeah, I like that you can play this on the turn you're attacking with something. If something has unblockable also, like you can just steal a card, and you have to pay the color though, which is what I kind of like about it, where it's not just any color like Xanathar. You need the treasures in order to do the thing.
Yeah.
Great in that Vampire Rakdos commander we talked about earlier, right? Because you want to sacrifice treasures to give it lifelink, and then you can attack. And if it deals combat damage, you can then use this to get a treasure token again, and then steal a card.
Yeah, absolutely.
Next up, do you want to read this one? I feel like you'd like this one.
Oh, absolutely. So this is Shrewfus Sproutsire. It's a 3-mana 1/1 with Trample. And whenever a Saproling you control deals combat damage to a player, create that many 1/1 Greet Saproling creature tokens. This is a hoot. And this is definitely going in my best deck.
Yeah, and mine for sure. Notably, this is the very first Saproling creature.
Oh, really?
Every other Saproling in Magic is a token. Nothing makes this. There are no other Saproling creatures that aren't tokens. They're all fungus or sporelings or
Gotcha.
No, I think they're all fungus for the most part.
Okay.
Or that's not true, but most of them are fungus. Yeah. So first Saproling, it's a 1/1 that has trample. But you're in green, so you just pump it. There are plenty of ways.
Yeah.
And it's whenever a Saproling. So like even if this doesn't hit, and you have a bunch of 1/1s that get in, like there's a critical mass where if an opponent doesn't have enough blockers, and you can swing your army, there's at some point you're just gonna end up probably with enough Saprolings to like keep refilling your army.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. If you have twice their amount of creatures, then you can just swing in with all of them every single turn, and keep like, if you have 8, they block 4, you deal 4, you make 4 more.
Nice. No, this is a hoot.
You can play it with a there's a fun card called Greener Pastures. The 3-man enchantment. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, if that player controls more lands than each other player, that player makes a 1/1 Saproling token.
Nice.
And
Okay.
then you can actually see should be a way. I know there's a way to see. Oh yeah, you can see if you go on Scryfall and you find the Saproling token, you can see what cards make Saprolings. It'll tell you all the cards that make them, which is really cool.
I need to
But
start using Scryfall. I've been using the other one, and it's not as good.
Gatherer.
Yeah, it's hard for me.
Oh yeah, no. Well, I'll show you Scryfall later. I don't know if I want to put this in wanna build or very fun. I don't know if I want to
I think
build
it's
it.
very fun. Yeah, it's better for me as part of another deck, but by itself, very fun.
Yeah, I think it's definitely it is. Yeah, if I play against this at the table, I'm gonna like, okay, great. I want to see what you do because it doesn't have to be this doing the damage. It's just any Saproling.
Yeah.
Next up is Slinza the Spiked Stampede. 5 mana, 5/5 beast. Beast spells you cast cost 2 less to cast. Hey, it's a beast deck. Each other beast you control enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it. Okay, cool. And then whenever it or another creature with power 4 or greater enters, you may pay 1 and a green. When you do, Slinza fights target creature you don't control. Okay.
Oh yeah.
So it's Gruul beasts. Now what's cool about this is if you have a beast that has 3 power, because it enters with an additional counter, it technically enters as a 4 power creature.
Yes.
So then you can have this fight it. This has to fight something though, right? Like it's not that beast. So Slinza has to be the one fighting. But if you want to build a beast deck, like Thragtusk for 3 mana, I'm in. Like,
and it's like a 5/5. I think on the field it's gonna be mid to late game before like 5/5s fighting another creature isn't just gonna immediately stomp.
yeah.
So like this is really great as removal if you can get beasts out fast enough.
And if you give this indestructible or death touch, it'll just start mowing things down. There are 323 beasts that are legal in Commander that are Gruul colors.
Oh, wow.
So like
easy.
there and the fact that it reduces it by 2, like you get to cast 3 mana beasts for free. But not for free, for 1 for 1 green. You get, which is insane.
Yeah, that's all.
And there's a card, Arcbound Ravager. Sacrifice an artifact, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Modular 1. It's an artifact creature, and it's a beast, and it's 2 generic, so it's free.
Oh, now like let me know if I'm reading this wrong. But it says whenever Slinza or another creature with power 4 or greater enters, you can pay that. So it doesn't even have to enter under your control. Somebody else could enter.
enters the battlefield under your control.
Oh, but it doesn't say that.
Whenever it or another creature with power 4 or greater enters. Oh, maybe not. Maybe, hold on. Let me check the rules. Maybe you're right. Hold on. I've checked the enters errata. Whenever it or another creature enters rule. Gee.
Maybe chat can help us out.
Yeah. I guess it'd be enters under your control. Oh, I guess we can just go back to whenever you, nope, not that. Enters. I'm gonna pull up a Soul Warden. Let's see if they've been oracled. Whenever another creature enters, I think you're right, because Soul Warden, its errata text is whenever another creature enters, you gain 1 life. So whenever another creature with power 4 or greater, yeah. So I didn't even catch that. Great catch. Yeah, it's any creature that's power 4 or greater enters.
Yeah.
You can pay to have this fight.
So you can just have this guy fighting the board for like even when it's not your turn.
Oh, that's insane. I didn't even think about that. Okay. This is going, I think, into very fun.
I'd say so.
I think the top end is very fun. I almost want to build it, but like Kindred decks don't really do it for me. But it's a beast deck, which is cool, I guess. If you want to build a dedicated
I
beast deck.
I like Kindred, so like I think I will probably end up building this at some point. But top end of very fun sounds right.
Yeah. And beasts are cheap. Like there are some expensive beasts, but like a lot of them aren't that expensive.
Yeah.
And there are 9 artifact beasts, but only one of them becomes 0 mana, which is just it's just funny. I don't think you play Arcbound Ravager, but like um you absolutely could if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Absolutely could. All right.
All right.
Next.
Well, here's the thing, Ben. I need to run and do something, but this has been a really fun time, and I appreciate you having me.
Well, I appreciate you hanging out. We're going to finish this up, but yeah, thanks for tagging along so far. I appreciate you.
No, no, totally. I like fully thought I could get through all of it with you, but we had such a good time talking about it, and I have a 4:30 appointment that I have to be at.
Well, go to your fourth. Yeah, I definitely. We'll go to your 4:30 appointment, and I will definitely talk to you later.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for chatting, everyone, and everyone. If you haven't subscribed, why haven't you subscribed? Because subscribe, ring the bell, and
True.
all that.
True. Hell yeah. All right, I'll talk to you later.
Later, man.
All right, now it's just us, chat. Next up is Atuna, speaker of the Tanjiro. It is an Elf Scout 2/2. When it enters, search your library for a basic land card, put on the battlefield tapped and shuffle. Sure. Whenever it attacks, you may return a land you control to its owner's hand. When you do, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. See, Eli left, and he would have loved this card. So it's a 3-mana Rampant Growth. And then it attacks, you can return a land. This actually seems like this could be a fun commander. I'm trying to. You can return utility lands. You're in mono green, so you definitely have like a lot of utility lands. I'm trying to think what utility lands in mono green you really have that you want to return, because you don't have scry lands or surveil lands. I guess you can return hideaway lands, right? That always works. I think what else? Land creatures. If you have a Ashaya Soul of the Wilds out, you can return land creatures to your hand when you attack for additional ETBs. I think I'm gonna put that in fun. I think below the bear. I think is where this is gonna go. It's a Rampant Growth on a stick, but honestly, I think that's fine. Next up is Teiko, the Eudora Gravegardener. Yes, also yeah, it's really good in Eudora. This card, the Sutina? Yeah, really good in Eudora. You can return the flip force creatures for sure. And Eudora's probably really good in this deck. That is true. I didn't even think about that. Eudora's such a cool card. Next up is Teiko, the Patient Avalanche. 4 mana, 4/5 Turtle Ninja. Love that for some reason. It enters tapped. Whenever another creature you control leaves the battlefield, if it didn't die, scry 1 and put a +1/+1 counter on Teiko. And whenever this creature attacks, you may pay blue-black hybrid. When you do, target attacking creature can't be blocked this turn. So it's a Turtle Ninja that, if you ninjutsu isn't the only way to do it, but that's how people are probably going to build it. You can scry 1 and put a counter on this, and then whenever it attacks, sorry. So if you attack with this, you can make this unblockable for 1 blue or black, or you can attack with other creatures, make them unblockable, then ninjutsu stuff in and out. Honestly, that does seem like it could be really good. I'm trying to think if it's fun. Does this become just like a Voltron one-shot commander? Or does it become an actual, like, interesting ninjas commander? Because you don't have to just, like... It's not Yuriko where you're just winning the game. And enters tapped. I know it's Power Creep City, but isn't 4/5? 4/5 for blue for 4 is pretty good. I mean, it enters tapped, right? Like, it's not... But does it matter if it enters tapped? I don't know if it does. And you don't draw, you scry, which is still card advantage in my opinion. Because scrying's almost like drawing a card. And you put a counter on it. So it can just become like a threat all on its own, like just an unblockable threat. but you can take cards like Baleful Strix, make them unblockable, bounce Baleful Strix back, put a ninja in, or you can like ninjutsu two ninjas. Like if they're both unblocked, like you can ninjutsu creatures in and out. So it's really like I think there are a lot of really cool interactions with this. I'm gonna put this. Do I want to build this? I think if I were to build a ninja commander, I don't know if I'm gonna. I think want to build. I think this is a want to build card for me. Next up is Third Mare of Destiny. It's a 4-mana 2/4 Pegasus with flying and lifelink. Whenever you cast a Pegasus, unicorn, or horse spell, creature spell, copy it. Other Pegasi, the unicorns and horses you control get +1/+1. So it's horse, Pegasus, unicorns matter. In the command zone at 4 mana. That actually seems solid, no? Hold on, that's many horses, unicorn, and Pegasus? Pegasus. I guess I have to do partial type matches. Pegasus, horse, unicorn. Mono white. Okay, so there are 58 horses, Pegasus, or unicorns. Shadowfax was Boros? Yeah, Shadowfax was Boros. Notably, you do get Crested Sunmare for this deck. Which is a great horse, which is, I think... Yeah, it started to go up in price. I think I have this one, though. I think I have this one sitting in a binder. So I got that going for me. Yeah, it seems really good. Regal Bunnycorn. Build the pony. And you just get a copy it, which seems super good. You just get like a free... I'm gonna put this in very fun. I mean, I think it's more fun than cats. I think because horses is like a more interesting creature type. Like there's just not a lot of dedicated horse cards. So you get to just copy them. And it's 4 mana. Like, it's like I think for 4 mana for this effect is really good. Next up is Tiny Bones Bauble Burglar. 2 mana, 1/3 Skeleton Rogue. Whenever an opponent discards a card, exile it from their graveyard with a stash counter on it. During your turn, you may play cards you don't own with stash counters on them from exile and spend mana of any type. And mana can be spent to cast those spells. 3 and a black, each opponent discards a card, activate only as a sorcery. So I feel like this is a less salty Turgid. The opponent still has to discard the card, which doesn't feel like great, but you exile it from their graveyard, so if they discard it, and there's still, I think, a spot for them to react to this, because it's not a replacement effect, it's a triggered ability. I think. Whenever opponent discards a card, exile it from their graveyard. Right? This is a triggered ability. Because it needs to go into their graveyard in order for you to exile it. So if like Leyline in the Void or Rest in Peace actually hose this card because they go straight into exile. They don't go into the graveyard. During your turn, you may play cards you don't own with stash counters. Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna put this in fun because I feel like people don't like playing against discard commanders. But I feel like this is the least egregious version of it. So we'll do that. Also, has my mic been doing any weird crackling? I had an issue. I was recording a video and there was a bunch of weird interference. So I'm hoping that's not the case here. So I hope someone would have told me. Next up is your Jordanen Dromoka Warrior. It's a 2-mana 1/1 human warrior. When it enters, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature, so it can put a counter on itself. Whenever you attack, target attacking creature with a +1/+1 counter on it gains first strike till end of turn. If that creature has 2 or more +1/+1 counters on it, it gains double strike instead. So it's a +1/+1 counters matter commander that can give stuff double strike or first strike. Not that interested. I think this is pretty boring, honestly. I'm going to put this... I think I just put this in kind of fun. Like, maybe even not fun. No. I think it's more fun than jellyfish, maybe. Nah, I think it's less fun than jellyfish, more fun than exert. Next up is Zamone Paradox Sculptor. This is a 4-mana 1/4 human wizard. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures you control. So you put a counter on 2 creatures. Okay. Then you and the second ability is a green and a blue tap. Double the number of each kind of counter on up to 2 target creatures and or artifacts you control. So, okay, so you get to just double any type of counter, which is it's you control, so you can't double your friends like ring counters, burden counters, which would be kind of funny. But it's Simic counters. You can double charge counters or +1/+1 counters. Keyword counters don't really matter. -1/-1 counters, loyalty counters, as target creatures and or artifacts. So loyalty is a little bit harder, but definitely possible. I think this goes in the solidly like again, I think it's like a fun commander. I think like here, only because you can double artifact counters. Like there are obviously dumb degenerate things you can do with this, but there are also I think like more interesting ways to build Zamone. So that's why I'm going to put them in fun, is because there are unique ways to build these cards in the Simic. And then finally, we have Zol Ashar Lichlord, 2-mana 2/2 zombie warlock, has ward, pay 2 life. And then you can tap, you may cast a zombie creature card from your graveyard this turn. So this isn't restricted to sorcery speed, but unless you can cast creatures at flash speed in mono black, which is like the Dalkin Orrery, I guess. It's essentially you do it this turn. It seems like a fine zombie commander. I'm more interested about this in the 99 than I am as its own commander, though. Like, I want this in my Tormod deck or my Mikaeus deck, but I think as a commander, it's, I think, just kind of fun. So I'm going to put this, I think, solidly, maybe even not fun. I don't know. I think it's more fun than Exert. I think I put Exert into not fun. I feel, no. I think it's more fun than Double Strike, less fun than Jellyfish. And that wraps up my fun ranking for Foundations and Jumpstart 2025. So we're taking, let's take another quick look at this. Yeah, I think I like all these and want to build. I don't know how many of them I'll get to, but I'm pretty happy with this list. A lot of solidly like fun commanders. A lot of them are really great in like the 99, which I'm really appreciating them kind of slowing down on printing just like busted commander after busted commander. Like there are a few that are obviously going to be really good, and then others where I'm just like, yeah, if you want to build that, cool. If not, that's fine. Like there's nothing in here where I'm like, oh yeah, I feel like I have to build this. But all these want to build seem really solid. So I hope you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments what commander you're looking forward to building and what deck you want to see. This Thursday and Friday is early look at Foundations. So I will be doing a Magic Online stream on those days, and I'll be doing a live deck build Thursday morning, probably around 10:30 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Eastern, something like that. So definitely subscribe and ring that bell, and so you can catch a live deck build and give input on cards. If you want to join the Discord server, it's a great way to stay up to date with what's going on with the channel. I always post my videos there. It's a great place. I'm trying to get webcam games going, and I have that linked in the video description here. And also, if you want to sign up to be a channel member, it's a great way to support me where I don't have to worry about ad revenue. You can do it for as low as $1.99 a month. It's just an easy way to help out the channel. So with all of that, I will see everyone in the next stream, in the next video. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I will see y'all in the next one.